Good morning, everyone. It's 9 a.m. I know, gay people and an LGBTQ plus Kiki at 9 in the freaking morning? Whose idea was that? Well, that's why I'm still in bed. I'm FayWhat, and I'm gonna help you get your week started off right. We have lots of fun things to talk about. It's gonna be an amazing week.
Gay boys, hashtag that girl, sunbeams, drag queens, L-word, is that girl, the girl of all our dreams. She's everything that every girl should be. Aqua, South Beach, hashtag that girl, pride-filled, tea-dance, Wilton, is that girl, Latina, but she's universal too. If you find a girl to love, only one girl to love, then she'll be that girl too. That girl.
The FayWhat Show is America's first LGBTQ plus morning show, and we are live right now on Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, Amazon Fire Television, YouTube, and Facebook. I'm also on demand, baby. Look for me. It's Monday, November 14th, 2022. My God, where has this year gone? This is Transgender Awareness Week, so make sure that you are aware of that. Now, let's kiki about what's going on in the LGBTQ plus community. There's always so much going on in our community. I have a sidekick joining me in bed for some conversation. You know what we're talking about. Our first segment is called Gay Boys Sleep Late. This morning, I'm joined by my gay guy pal, model, spiritualist, wellness counselor, ball icon from the House of Gorgeous Gucci, and HIV activist with Impulse Group, Jamal L. Starks. You can find him on Instagram at Porcelain. That's porcelain with a 3 in the middle. It's right there on your screens. Good morning, Jamal, and welcome to FayWhat's Bed.
Hey, Faye.
How are you, Papi?
We're back again.
We are back again. I just loved our time together the last couple of weeks. Thank you.
I have to.
Thank
I really
you.
enjoyed.
And I love the fact that you don't take up a lot of the bed.
I don't.
You really just stay in that spot.
Me and Luna are.
Right?
Yeah.
You guys just take exactly the amount of space that I need for you to take. You need to take 1/3 of the bed because this bitch is big, and I take up 2/3 of the bed with just my hair and my boobs. You know what I mean?
Big, loud, and powerful.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So how was your weekend?
My weekend was great. It was a long weekend because we had the hurricane.
Yeah.
And so we had, I say that up north they have snow days, and here we have hurricane days.
Yeah. But there's nothing like South Florida weather right after a hurricane. We were talking about that. It's perfect. It's 80. There's no humidity. Your hair looks on point.
The wind
Your skin feels wonderful.
Yeah.
That wind is just everything. And it's just yes. Yeah, we just took out every single trailer park known to man. But the weather is beautiful.
Gorgeous.
And we are still licking our wounds from the elections also last week I was not in a good place for a couple of days, Jamal. Straight up, I was just not. I was just you folks already know, the elections came and went. And, I know that we'll be knowing soon, how many people exactly came out and all that kind of stuff. But I know that a lot of the candidates that we were rooting for, unfortunately, won to Republicans. Grr. And in LGBTQ, we're already so marginalized. We're already so held down that after something like that, it's you've been running, your endorphins were all high, you're screaming and yelling on Facebook and on social media, vote, vote, vote. And then that happens and you're just you hit the ground with your face first.
I stay on the ground.
Just waiting for us. You'll be down here.
I stay on the ground. I don't keep high expectations around election time.
Oh, that's hard.
I mean, also the intersectionality of being Black and LGBTQ. So also being Black, I'm used to, disappointments in elections in the government. So
I hate that you're used to, and I sometimes think about just the marginalization of the Black and brown community, and we're all trying to fight this fight. If we would just get together, we would be able to fight this fight. I'm not Black, I am brown, and I know how lots of brown people are all Catholic and they're all religious, and so they can't intersex gay and Latino. They just refuse to.
Yeah, they refuse. They disassociate.
You know, so we don't talk about it.
We don't talk. And also, I saw some of the stats that came out, like with the Georgia election, where 72% of white women overwhelmingly were voting for like Herschel Walker and against Stacey Abrams. And I'm like, well, I know we talk a lot about the LGBTQ community and the Black and brown community coming out, but these people are already at the polls.
Yeah.
So
like how could you be a woman and then vote against your own body? Basically.
Right,
you know what I mean? You're literally voting for someone to tell you have no control over your own body. Like it sounds like an oxymoron. You sound like a moron also, but like, wow, you know, like how could you do that? How could you turn your back on your own gender?
I think that's because they follow this sort of patriarchy where they follow their husband's lead.
That's true
where
too.
They have control and say over their body. So in their world, you know, if the pastor hasn't told them, then the husband is going to tell them when you can and cannot have a baby or what you can do with your body. So I think people follow these patterns when they get to the poll. Like they smile in your face at work or they smile in your face at the grocery store. Yeah. But behind the polls, they not only hate you, they hate their own selves.
That's true.
So it's sad.
That's true. Yeah, but then you start seeing it on your Facebook feed and you're like, unfollow. At least for me, I'm like, unfollow. You know, people that I love, like people that helped me in my wedding day, I saw them posting like, congratulations, DeSantis. And I was like, oh my God, like, you know, the people close to you are voting for people that want to erase you. Yeah. That makes you feel this small.
I went through that through the Trump election. When Trump came out, probably 18 months before, and there were a ton of people who were close to me, and I just started unfollowing and unfriending and people were in my inbox, Jamal, where? And I'm like, and I would just take a screenshot and I'd send it to them. Are you serious? And I'm like, yes, sweetie, I'm serious. Yeah. Like you're literally voting against everything that I am.
Yeah. Literally, everything that makes you breathe, you're voting against, you know, and for those people that like vote, because gas prices. That's why I'm going to vote Republican, because Biden has messed up the gas price. Biden has nothing to do with that. Like, do your research. Like, what is wrong with you? So you're going to let, you know, God forbid your daughter needs an abortion. You'd rather her bleed out because she went to a back alley place because your gas is up. You know what I mean?
It makes no sense. But I think I was saying this on Queer News Tonight. It's like, the intellectual muck you have to go to understand people like that. Yeah. Like, it's like, you really have to dumb yourself down to understand the reason why, like, gas prices. Are you serious? Like, did you actually go out and research these things?
Exactly.
They have no answer. Like, you can't even have a real conversation with these people.
We're in deep trouble. We'll be talking about this more. Let's get off this topic because there's so many interesting things going on this week in the LGBTQ plus community. So let's kiki on them, Jamal, right? Yeah. I don't want to think about the elections anymore. You know it's going to come up more, but let's think about some other stuff, all right? So first, the pageant world has been in the news a lot lately. And last week, we talked about transgender tycoon Ann J.K. buying Miss Universe. And also last week, the Miss USA pageant won the right to ban transgender contestants in court. So the Miss USA pageant was owned by the Miss Universe pageant until 2020. Well, now that Miss Universe is owned by a trans person, conservatives are saying people should boycott Miss Universe. OAN host Allison Steinberg said that now that the pageant is owned by a trans woman, contestants should expect, quote, pedophile activity.
Prideful that a woman finally owns the Miss Universe pageant.
It's just pathetic. I mean, these people obviously know that that's not actually a woman. They're so delusional. They've convinced themselves that it is. And then they send all this praise his way for doing something so courageous. Like, I'm so sick of the BS here. Just admit that it's a man. There's nothing special here. It's actually more concerning that a man who dresses as a woman owns it. And all of the women who enter the contest should be concerned because this is clearly some, probably pedophile activity going on behind the scenes there.
I wish they'd just stand up and boycott it.
What is wrong with this woman? What are we all talking about? This Allison woman, I saw her on the, I know. Look at that face camera. Do you see? Like, are you kidding? Like, the words that came out of this woman's mouth where she was like, okay, let's just stop why are we even entertaining this? It's not a woman. It's a man dressed like a woman. I mean, like everything from dead naming to dead gendering to everything that was just wrong. She said in one little interview.
These are the dumbass people I'm talking about. Like you can't even have an intellectual conversation, or you can't even have a real conversation with people like her because they're so stuck in. I don't even know what it is. I don't even know what to call it. And I feel really, really bad for Miss Oregon.
She's gorgeous.
Yes.
So now the news is that she won Miss Oregon, but she can't go to Miss Universe.
Right.
Because maybe they allow her to participate, maybe they don't, but they're allowed to.
She has to qualify.
Yeah. And Miss
USA.
Qualify would be Miss USA. So they could totally tell her, you can't be part of Miss Universe.
Even though a transgender woman owns Miss Universe now.
Yeah.
Like I'm praying that it is my prayer. It is my prayer that that somehow Miss Anne, our good girl Anne, somehow can put some pressure or something to make something happen for her.
I have a feeling she will, Jamal. I have a feeling that she has to. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take this role, you can't buy this organization and then not do good for our community.
Right.
I mean, we could also be talking crap about her if she does it in the next couple of weeks, but let's hope that she does right, because I mean, we were so proud of her. We were so happy about the possibilities. Now it's time to put your money where your mouth is and support our community.
Yeah, and there's so many. There's like with Miss Puerto Rico and Miss Argentina.
Yes,
okay,
they're together. I love that. And they're so beautiful and they're hot and they're gorgeous and now they're married.
And we're just expanding all of this good LGBT, queer
Juju.
magic and juju into Miss Universe, Miss USA. And we have this.
But doesn't it feel like icky that it's just, we look in so many places and we're represented in so many places, and visibility, it's all about visibility, right? And seeing us out there and seeing how many people approve of us and love us. And then you see the Allisons, that anchor woman, saying all this horrible, horrible shit, and she believes it. Like if I gave her a lie detector right now, Jamal, she would really pass it.
She would pass with flying colors. Because she doesn't see us as human. That is the problem with people like her. They try and dehumanize people who are other, or I hate to say marginalized, but I just say outside of their proverbial norm or box. Yeah. And so all she's trying to do is dehumanize. And it's like, no, we're human.
We're human. For some of these people, it takes it to slap them over the head. It takes them to have a child that is LGBTQ+.
Right.
Then that totally changes the game for some. I mean, not for all. I mean, look at Herschel Walker. You know what I mean? And his son that says he's not gay. So I'm not part of those alphabet people. Dude, I haven't seen a gayer boy since Wilton last week. I mean, seriously, I mean, come on. Next, Cher is an icon. We all love her. She's 76 and still looking amazing. Recently, she's been seen out with her new boyfriend, her little bomboncito. He's 36 years old, Alexander Edwards, who is Amber Rose's ex and has a son with her, by the way. Madonna, who is 64, has been casually dating 23-year-old model Andrew Darnell. Many online are criticizing them for dating people younger than their own children. Others are congratulating them for living their best lives and giving them high fives. What are we all talking about? Hasn't Madonna always dated somebody younger and always? I mean, that's how she got Lourdes. She ended up with that cutie Cuban dancer back in the day, right?
Yeah.
I mean, did we really think less of her for it?
No, I'm celebrating this.
Right?
I'm celebrating this. As long as you have breath in your body and they're two consenting adults, then live your best life.
Live your best life. I mean, is it for now? Is it for forever? Who effing cares, right? The reality is that we could be dead tomorrow. The reality is that please put Cher in a bubble and make sure that she's okay and protected at all costs.
Please.
Because people are dropping like flies. So if she wants to sleep with someone that's 20-something years old and that makes her feel younger and vibrant, then get that D.
Baby, it is not only the doctor that is keeping Cher young.
You know what I mean? Exactly. It is not just the Botox, okay?
No.
It is that D that's also keeping her young, and that's okay.
And she might be D'ing him. I mean,
we don't know the kinkiness, and whatever it is, more power to you, and get it.
Madonna can use a little bit more because remember we just talked about her. With
We were talking about her last week with the poppers. I still can't believe that. You know, like after we talked about it, Jamal, I still went back and was like, am I sure that we talked about this really happened? Because her face, like if she doesn't use the right filters, man, she looks so messed up. Like she looks so distorted. Like she looks like
maybe it is trying to keep up with dating a 24-year-old.
that you have to look a certain way.
Yeah.
You know, but there's some
poppers too.
You know, you can facelift your face. You can do certain things to give your body a facelift, to give like a body lift. But there are just some parts of you that are just going to be saggy. There's just nothing, like your elbows. You can always tell somebody like if they're old, like by their elbows. You know what I mean? There's just no way, and their hands. Like you can't hide all the lines on your hands. You know, I'd sleep with Cher. I'd sleep with Cher now. Yeah, you too. I think you would. You wouldn't be able to give that. You wouldn't be not be able. Okay, Jamal, you see Cher. Cher's like, you little brown boy. You are hot as hell. Come on. You would be scared, but you'd go.
I'm scared, but I feel like it's Cher.
I mean, exactly.
And it's a story that I would tell for ages.
Forever. I mean, and that shit would go viral. I mean, just think about it.
It would go in my memoir.
You know?
It would go in my memoir.
And so it don't matter if you would be scared. You would still go. And any of you would do the same too. All right? So don't lie. I mean,
with poppers. Like Madonna.
Or without poppers. Whatever. Listen, more power to them. You know, men have been doing this forever. You know, straight men, heterosexual men have been doing this forever where they hit a certain age and their wives look beat up and they don't take care of themselves anymore. And they've gotten you to this point, but you're a dick, so you want a woman that's half your age and a Corvette.
Yep.
It's called a midlife crisis, you know? So why not? Let these women live their life.
Yes.
And that's it. That's it. Next, so last week were the elections like we were talking about, and while things here in Florida, you know, stayed red like they normally do, there was some amazing news from other parts of the country. Massachusetts now has their first woman ever elected to governor. And the first lesbian governor in the country, Maura Healey, who was formerly the Attorney General. She's also only the second Democratic governor of the traditionally liberal state in the past 30 years. Tina Kotek also won Oregon in a close race, but the votes were not fully counted until near the end of last week, so she became the second lesbian governor ever. Vermont also elected their first woman representative for U.S. Congress, Becca Balint, who is also a lesbian. What are we all talking about? A lot of lesbians made it.
I love it.
I love it. I love it.
It's time to start following the women.
Oh my God. Well,
it's time for the women to start taking the lead.
Listen,
I'm all for it.
LGBTQIA plus, you know, we're all together in this acronym, and I know that we don't always all get along. You know, for whatever reasons, right? There's people in our community that are like, I never wanted to be jumped up with the T. I never wanted to be jumped up with the G. Whatever. But the reality is that we're all together, and we have to stand together. You know, and so a lesbian being appointed is all our victory.
Yes,
it's not just a victory for the L.
I love it.
It isn't. You know, and we had a record number of LGBTQ plus candidates up for election. Yeah. A lot of them won their offices. So even though Florida sucks, we're not going anywhere.
Florida, Georgia, Texas, the list goes on.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, but the thing with Florida, like you think of Georgia, Texas, they don't have a Wilton Manors. You know what I mean? They don't have a place that is, where? Near Little Five Points?
No, 10th and Piedmont.
Oh, yeah.
And then in Texas, they have,
it's not in Houston. It's in the other place that has it too. They have
Montrose in Houston.
So there it is.
Montrose in Houston.
Not as big as us. Not as big as us for sure.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is. But listen, when one of us wins, we all win. Next, world famous transgender activist and DJ Honey Dijon was honored by New York's Leslie Lohman Museum of Art last week. Established in 2016, the Leslie Lohman Museum of Art collects, preserves, and exhibits around 30,000 objects by LGBTQIA plus artists or related to LGBTQIA plus themes, issues, and people. At the awards, Honey Dijon was given the Lifetime Achievement Award for her outstanding contributions to queer culture. As we celebrate Transgender Awareness Week this week, it's great to see trans music icons like Honey Dijon being recognized at a national level. What are we all talking about?
We're talking about iconic recognition, and accolades for people who have really paved the way for us to do this right
to do
now.
This. Yeah, these are the shoulders that we all stood on, you know, and there was no social media back then. There was, you know, when the houses and the balls and all that started, you know, there was, if we had phones back then, trust, there'd be a million videos of stuff, you know what I mean? There's very few because of the time that it was.
We have, you know, the grainy VHS.
Yes! You can't tell what color the person is, but you know that they were there and they were giving badass face, you know? So congratulations to Honey Dijon. I mean, this visibility again is all our visibility.
Yes.
You know, it shows that we don't.
It's all our win.
And we don't forget where we came from.
No.
We could never forget where we came from. You know, I mean, that is just because they want to take us out of history, you know, and not teach what LGBTQ plus history is in school and stuff like that, doesn't mean that we are not part of it. And we, like you said so eloquently, we wouldn't be where we're at right now if it wasn't for those people who really had to do it against everything. I mean, think about it. They could have been arrested. They could have been killed. They could have been killed. You're going there. You could have been killed. I'm like, you might lose your job. He's like, you could be killed.
Yeah.
You know, they would put your name in the paper back in the day. I mean, it was crazy. Honey Dijon, totally deserved. Finally, Boy George is in the headlines again, but not for good reasons. He was recently announced as part of the cast for the reality show, I'm a Celebrity, Let Me Out of Here. The show has faced a lot of backlash as fans point to the singer and DJ's criminal history. In 2019, he was sentenced to 15 months in jail after handcuffing Norwegian model Audun Carlson to a radiator and beating him with a chain. Boy George claimed he shouldn't be held responsible because he was high on cocaine at the time. Carlson has said that he's hurt by ITV giving Boy George another platform, calling him a monster. Boy George himself is saying anyone speaking out against him being on the show is doing so because of homophobia. What are we all talking about? What do you think? I mean, yeah, I know, that face says it all. He chained the model to the radiator, people. I mean, this wasn't 2015. This is 7 years ago, but he still did it.
Like, sir, homophobia, you beat another gay man that was chained to a radiator. This is so far from homophobia. This is just bad behavior and bad decision making. And I mean, sir. I just... For real, Boy George. And
I love me some Boy George. Like, he is going to come to Pride next year, and I'm like, I love him. I love his songs from back then. They take me to I love the artist. It takes me back. The nostalgia takes me back. Do I like everything that he's done? No. Do I think he's responsible for what he's done? Of course. You can't blame cocaine. You know, I am in recovery almost 8 years, and I did plenty of effed up stuff when I was drinking. But it was me. You know what I mean? Like, arrested is still the consequences of drinking to that depth. And
I'm now also sober as well, and if I could excuse half of the shit that I did when I was in my 20s on cocaine, then it would be just that simple. Yeah, but no, it's not that simple, sir. You have to take accountability.
Yep, you handcuff the boy to a radiator and then beat him with a chain. I mean, some people might like that.
If it was consensual. Then you know. Then
it's okay, but
there's no arguments here.
But yeah, he didn't like to be chained up that way. Maybe you were just too mean. I don't know. The FayWhat show is part of one of the largest LGBTQ plus media companies in America. Hotspots magazine has been documenting the LGBTQ plus experience for 37 years, and Happening Out Television Network has been bringing you daily LGBTQ plus news, talk shows, and more for 4 years. In the same model of PBS and NPR, we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization whose mission is to educate and serve the LGBTQ plus community. Yeah! So, Jamal, what are you going to be doing this weekend coming up?
What is this weekend? Oh, yes. It's the classic weekend in Orlando.
Ooh.
Yeah, FAMU versus Bethune, if anybody knows about that.
Nice. So you're going to go drive up to Orlando? It's a very quick. From South Florida, it's like 3.5 hours, something like that. Well, if you're speeding and going 100 miles per hour, it takes you 3 hours.
2.5 sometimes for me.
Something like that. But I've been seeing, you've been doing a lot more modeling these last couple of weeks. I see your gorgeous face everywhere. It's like, bloop, bloop, save photo, bloop, bloop, save photo.
If people have been, hitting me up
But I mean, look at you.
Been lovely. It's been a thing.
I love it.
And also there's a ball this weekend, the State Awards Ball in Orlando.
Oh, are you going to compete?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, your face looks flawless. I mean, so.
I'm not sure. I want sex siren.
I love it.
I don't know.
You're not feeling sexy siren-y? Yeah, you are. He'll be fine. We'll tell you how he won. All right. Jamal, thank you so much for getting up early for the FayWhat show. And remember to follow him on Instagram at Porcelain. That's at PORC3LAIN. I know how hard it is for you to wake up in the morning because gay boys sleep late, even though they're this sexy. Give me a kiss. Mwah, I love you. Did you know the Happening Out Television Network studios are located at Sunshine Cathedral Square? That also houses Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church located in Fort Lauderdale. We broadcast our Sunday service every week to more than 30,000 at 10:30 a.m.
Hello everyone, my name is Francia. I am an Afro-Venezuelan singer, songwriter, dancer, healing through music. You can find me on all social media platforms at Francia Canta, and you can find my album Infinita on all music streaming platforms as well. That's Francia Infinita. And Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
At the FayWhat show, we want to introduce you to interesting people that are important to our LGBTQ plus community. I'm super excited about my next guest. Oh my God, she's just incredible. So Bruna, she's a free spirit, and she's like the first trans tattoo artist in New Delhi. She's 27 years old. Did you take that all in? Take that all in. Okay. So I saw this article on LGBTQ Nation on this incredible woman who lived kind of like a double life, right? And I had to talk to her. So welcome to the FayWhat show, the beautiful, the wonderful, Miss Bruna. Hi, Bruna.
Hi, Faye. It's really nice to meet you, and thank you for inviting me on your show. And I'm very excited.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
So, Bruna, tell me, what's life like for Bruna in New Delhi?
So, I'm a trans woman, and I'm a tattoo artist. And the studio where I work, it's really far from my home. So I live two lives in this single life, like a non-binary person. I am not non-binary. I am a trans woman. I identify as a trans woman and my pronouns are she, her. But due to the society and due to the backward thinking of people here, I have to live two lives. And that's because my family accepts me. My mother is cool with me. My brother is cool with me. And they love me for being what I am. But the place where I live and my neighborhood and in that society, I have been living there since childhood, and nobody knew about this identity. Now, it would have been a normal process for me to tell them that I'm a trans woman, and from now I live my life as a woman. But it's really very tough in India, and it's next to possible. It's that possible that I have to shift away from my home. Like I'm planning to shift with my mother and my brother to a good part of Delhi, that's South Delhi. It's little good. People are educated and they understand the LGBT rights here. But just because of their mentality that they cannot accept a trans woman in their society, I have to shift everything from there, and I have to live my life here. Also, due to this reason, I have to live two lives. Like whenever I have to go home, I have to change my clothes into a guy's clothes, and then I go home, live my life as a guy. And every morning, then I come, I change my clothes, and I do it daily from last 3 to 4 years. Like people think it's very hectic, and lots of people have told me that how can I live this kind of life? Because psychologically and by the views of society, it's really tough to do that. But I don't know how and why I get this power, like to become this woman, to fight this thing, so that in future there would be no kids who have to see this thing. Like I have to fight this. I have to stand on my own. Being a trans woman is not very easy in India, and like it's a really tough thing. Like earlier, I have been living my life as a man for around 23 years of my life, and life in the society was really good. Like I had all the powers, and everyone used to respect me. Like I had some status in the society, but from last 3 years, uh, I have lost that respect from the people. Like the place where I work, the people are really good, the artists are really good, and the people who come for tattooing, they're also very good people. But that's not only Delhi part, it's just South Delhi, and else there is north, east, and west part of Delhi. That's really bad. Like I think I am very privileged enough. I have a car.
So you were mentioning, Bruna, about South Delhi, right? And where you live,
Just
that you are gonna move with your mom, and you're gonna. Is that near the studio, the tattoo studio?
that would be near the studio, but that's again a problem for me. Like most of the property dealers and people like these, they don't take trans women seriously, or the people from the community. So that's another fight I have to do. But I wish I'll get it because here, like the people living here are still better.
So according to the story, Bruna, from LGBTQ Nation, you are allowed to be your true self while you're at the tattoo studio.
Yes.
But then, like you were saying, then you have to change into menswear to go home. Can I tell you that when I read that, I started crying? Like right there, I just started crying because I couldn't imagine having to go back into the closet every day.
Every day. It's really
How
sad.
do you emotionally stay okay with that? Because you have such a happy smile and every night you have to go back.
Yeah, I have to. I think because I take things very optimistically. I take it very positively. Like in my whole journey, I have to live both the lives. But then I understood what a non-binary person can be. So that I learned from there. And I have a goal. I have a bigger goal that I want to do for the community. I want to do for the LGBT community in India at least. And for that goal, I have to go through all these things. Like these things are nothing in front of that goal. So
Wow, you're incredible.
it's really
You
tough,
really-
but
So what would
sometimes I
happen,
feel like
Bruna?
very tired.
I'm sorry, honey. Like, what would happen if you would go and leave the studio, if you would leave the tattoo studio as your true self? What do you think would happen if you would walk out the door as Bruna?
There would be no problem, as I told you. Like the studio is in the south part of the city, and here there is no such problem. Like within the uh, around 8 to 10 kilometers around this area, it's really good place. But then there are other parts of Delhi. So if I think to go there, like first of all, I'll like leave the plan. I won't go there because it might be very risky for me. And we do it like most of my plans, most of my outings are in this limited area, or maybe the central area of the city. But it's really tough to go in those areas because people they stare a lot. Maybe they'll harass you or things like that. Like they totally don't understand it, and it gets scary.
I can imagine. What do you think about, I think it's a new law or it's a recent law about being the third sex instead of just being a man or a woman if you're trans?
Yeah, it's really bad law, but the thing is, at least we have a law now because it can be amended. But before this, there was not any law for trans women. Like if I'm doing something and even if I'm not guilty, I can be put behind the bars just because I'm a trans woman or a gay or a lesbian. And at least we have a law now, but that law is very shitty and it's not of that good use. And like I have heard, like one of thing I would like to tell you is if there is a jail for rape for a woman, it's 6 years of jail. But
Wow.
for a trans woman in trans law, it's just 2 years. And this is the problem. Like, and 2 years is a very less time, and it happens that those people, they come out and then they take the revenge from the people from the community. And why is this happening? I don't know. But these laws, they have lots of problems, and I think people will amend it. But for now, like in country like this, we are thankful that at least we have a law. Like, imagine there's no law about it. Anyone can put you behind the bars just for dressing up as a woman. And like, I have seen those days also, because Section 377 has been decriminalized recently only. Like, it's 3 years only, and before that it was totally illegal in India. Like, it used to happen, but then there was no respect. Still, the times are changing. I think things are also changing. The new generation is understanding, and lots of my clients who I get are from the younger generation, and they're very cool with me. Like, I have amazing clients, I have amazing work, and they just love me. But same thing I told you, if I go to the different part of the city and do this business, I'll be thrown out within seconds.
Bruna, what would be a perfect day for Bruna? If you could go anywhere in Delhi, all right? Okay, let's pretend that everybody was understanding and there was no laws against, because again, there's a law that you can't dress like a woman, but you're not dressing like a woman. You are a woman. That's it, period.
Yes.
You know, they're just not there yet. So what would be a perfect day for Bruna if you could just be you 24 hours a day?
I think this is what I wish for. This is what I wish for my future. And after changing my house, I'll be doing this thing. I'll be able to live my life fully. And
Oh, that's
for
great.
now, I would say that, like, for me, a good day would start with maybe a good workout, going out for a run. Like, it's really tough for us to just go out for a run in a park. And I had some bad experience, that's why I'm telling you. But going out in a park, seeing the nature without any fear, going to work out without any fear, like that people will judge you. And then I would love to come to my workplace, because I'm addicted to tattooing and I love my job. I want to do tattoos, like daily I want to do tattoos. So my day would include tattooing, because that's the best part, that's the best thing I can do. When I get into the art, then all these gender things are gone. But having a good day at work and maybe partying in the night.
I love
Like,
that. And these are things that people take for granted here. You know, something so basic.
are the
You're like,
now-
hey, I want to be at the park.
Yeah.
I want to go for a run with my ponytail.
It's like, I have realized that that what we are looking for as a community is just a normal life. We do not have bigger dreams. We do not want to like do bigger things. We just want a normal life first. And like me, there are other trans women who are not that privileged. I see their struggles. I see their problems also. And there's not much help also. Only the younger generation. I feel like in India, this coming generation will change everything. Because the older people, they don't understand shit about it.
Yep, I agree. It's a little similar here. I agree totally. This new generation is so fluid and they don't even care. It's just, okay, yes, your pronouns are they, them. All right, we're done. You don't even have to explain it. I love that. And I hope that the future is filled with folks like that. You know, that makes a safe place for you, a safe place for me.
It will change. Like, I can see it, and I am working on it. And I feel in next 10 years, things will change. Because it's always the older generation that's the...
What organization are you helping with there in New Delhi?
So, I'm not directly working in an organization. It's a motto of my life. I won't do protests and I won't join these things. But I'm making my life such an example for the community people. I'm working on myself. That how can trans like in India, people see trans women as a sex worker. There's no other job they can relate it to. Like if there's a trans woman, it's 100% guarantee that she would be a sex worker, and people think like that. But when they see me as a tattoo artist living a different life, working on myself, they automatically start believing in me. They automatically get some confidence. Like I have seen people who get confidence from me, and that's how I'm gonna change myself and how I'll change the society around me. That's how I'm working towards my goal. I cannot do protests. I do not want to join the communities and do all those things. Like those things are also important, but the example that I'll set for this country maybe would be the better thing, best thing to them.
And that's how we take over the world. That's how we make the world better, is by shining, by telling our stories, by doing exactly what you're doing right now. So I so look up to you. Thank you for doing what you do, Bruna. Bruna, what was the last thing you tatted?
It was a rolling joint paper with a sexy girl lying on it.
It was a rolling joint paper.
with a sexy girl lying, like she was getting rolled.
Oh, she was getting rolled up in the blunt. I love it. I love it. Is there something, have you ever talked someone out of getting a tattoo? Like someone comes up to you and says, I want this. And you're like, wow, this is not good. Or this is not going to look good in 10 years. Or this is a bad idea. Or you just met this person and you're going to put their name on you. Have you ever had that happen?
No, I don't do that because I think that would be rude because when people come up with their ideas, they come with lots of theory behind it. They have a lot of meaning behind it. And maybe it's just a design for me, but for them, it's a big thing. But when my friends come, whom I know, then I tell them directly that you shouldn't get this. Yeah.
I love that. What was your favorite tattoo to do?
The one I did it on myself, like after learning
you
tattooing.
did one on yourself?
Yeah. So when we learn tattooing, we have to do first tattoo on ourselves so that we can know the pain. We can know the depth of the needles and all. So I learned it for 3 months, and then I did a tattoo on myself. It's on my thigh, and it's a woman coming out from a flower. So I feel it depicts me, and that's why I love that tattoo the most.
I love it. I love it.
Also, I feel I don't know. Maybe you also know it on but. I feel being a trans woman, if we see it spiritually, then there are a lot of meaning behind it. Like if you go into the spirituality of feminism and masculinity and femininity, the energies, I have understood about that thing. And like we are living two lives in this one. Like I see it as a blessing of God. Like it's a good thing. Like every person in his life or her life can live just one life. Maybe she can be a female or a male, but only a trans woman. And the word trans is all about this energy of transmitting masculinity and femininity together, having the balance of both the energies. That thing I have understood, and I think it's a very big thing that people do not know right now. But for me, trans women are divine because they are living two lives. They understand both the parts of the life, which people do not in their whole life.
It's so true. One of my first tattoos was a yin yang. Do you know what a yin yang is?
Yes.
And so the black and the white and the negative and the positive and the femininity and the masculinity, and we all have a little bit of each. And I love the representation of that.
Yeah, I'll tell you a good story about India. Like something related to the tattoos and something related to a trans woman. Like in India, you must have heard name of Shiva. he's a god. He's an Indian god, and he's been a god for a long while. Like everyone worships him. But in mandirs, there's a statue of Shiva showing half a woman and half a guy, like a trans, both the energies. Like half part is a male, and half part is a female. That's her wife, Parvati, and I think that's the best part. He is showing how the transness work, and people go and worship them, but they cannot understand a trans woman. They're worshipping someone, but they are not understanding him, what he's trying to show, what he's trying to give the message, and like that's the thing. People worship it, but they won't accept me.
Exactly, and it's one and the same. That makes so much sense. Bruna, what would you like women living the trans experience here in the United States to know about you and the trans experience in New Delhi?
Okay, I don't know the experience about there, but I think that things would be pretty cool there than in India. But I feel everyone goes through that stigma. Everyone goes through, like, maybe there would be problem for you guys to tell it to your parents. Like, it was a tough thing for me to tell it to my mother and then convince her. Like, it took a long time, and maybe you guys should also might be also facing this problem. But I would say that we shouldn't stop, because we know the truth, and lots of people say you are in a phase, you don't know who you are, you have forgotten what you are, but we have understood ourselves. That's why we are choosing this identity. That's why we are free to choose any gender. Like, I see it as a god is giving two kinds of toffees, two kinds of cookies, and everyone is taking just one. But if someone takes two cookies from him and he tells him that I want to have both, he won't say a no. He will give it to him. But people are, because of the societal pressure, because of the society, people tend to live in that way only. There are a lot of men who have a feminine side in them. There are lots of women who have masculine side in them. It's all about the balance. But yeah, I would say that you should never stop, because we know this truth, and the future is ours. Like, I think the future is non-binary. Obviously, the end, like, of all the genders is non-binary, and it's here. In next 10 years, in next 20 years, people are gonna be non-binary. They're gonna choose their genders. And like, they can choose their genders when they are in school or colleges. So things are gonna change. So just we have to keep going.
Keep going, keep fighting, keep shining, just like you are. Yes. Thank you so much, Bruna, for being with us. I know that you also go by Ask Shay, right?
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
you are only Bruna to me. You are only Bruna to me, so you know. Congratulations on future moving somewhere where you could be your true, authentic self 24 hours a day. I love that. Folks at home, if you like what you heard from Bruna, reach out to her. Tell her that you are on board and you support her 100%, because it takes a lot to be your true self in a place like India. You know, this woman is just incredible. Bruna, thank you so much for being on the FayWhat show. We love you mucho.
Welcome.
Bye, honey.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Finally this morning, I want to get our week started by telling you some things that are really important to me. It's Faye, what's on my mind? So I got two things that are on my mind. One, I've got another Dear Faye What for you, all right? I had to, I told you guys before that if I can help you, then I definitely will try to help, I don't know anything about nothing. I got a PhD in life, in being queer. That's about it, all right? So here is this letter that I got through Facebook, and I wanted to share it with you guys, all right? So it comes from Dana, 26, all right? And she says, Dear Faye What? Wait, Dear Faye What? That's what she wrote. All right. My grandpa is near the end of his life, with maybe just a few weeks left to go. He has multiple organ failures and, unfortunately, dementia. The issue is that my 20-year-old cousin, he wants to come out to him in this condition. He doesn't recognize most of the family anymore, and even then only for a handful of minutes he recognizes anybody from the family. My cousin's parents, my parents, and my other uncles have all told him that it's not the time to stress Abuelo out by forcing a confrontation when he doesn't even know what's around him and what's going on anymore. My cousin has accused me and the rest of my family of being homophobic and said that we are robbing him of precious moments by not allowing him to tell Abuelo the truth. He wants him to know that truth before he passes. What's the right thing to do? Is my cousin just trying to get attention? Loved, Dana. It's a hard one. I mean, I get it, you know. He wants to come out to his abuelo before he dies, you know. He wants to come out to his abuelo because before functionally it's too late to do anything, you know. Well, the reality is that it's probably too late to do anything for their relationship anymore, you know, and it'd really be for your cousin's peace of mind, not for your abuelo. But is it worth putting your granddad in that kind of space? I don't know. There is a time and place, and unfortunately, I think that your cousin has missed his chance. Your abuelo is dying and he's confused. This is not the time for your cousin to come out because he regrets not doing it sooner. The reality is that your grandpa isn't even really there anymore to understand what's going on. I really don't think that this is homophobia on you and your family's part. This is just you and your family trying to help your abuelo pass peacefully. There's a big difference. This is about your abuelo, your grandfather, not about your cousin, all right? I hope this helped a bit. Let your abuelo pass nicely, all right? Next, I was thinking about forgiveness also. Forgiveness is on my mind. You know, we all make mistakes, but why are we a little easier on ourselves about some things than we are about others, you know? To forgive is not to forget. To forgive is really to remember that nobody's perfect and that each of us stumbles every once in a while when we want so much to stay upright. That each of us says things that we wish we had never said. That we can all forget that love is more important than being right sometimes. To forgive is really to remember that we are so much more than our mistakes. That we are often more kind and caring, that accepting another's flaws can help us accept our own sometimes, and to forgive is to remember that the odds are pretty good that we might soon need to be forgiven ourselves for some shit we do. That life sometimes gives us more than we can handle gracefully, and that to forgive is to remember that we have room in our hearts to begin again, and begin again, and begin again. We are all so set on being right in our community that we are afraid to stumble and fall. We all make mistakes. We make mistakes in front of each other. We learn from each other. Let's help each other. We can lift ourselves while lifting others if we just take a moment and forgive ourselves for not always being right. Well, that's the FayWhat show. I hope you had fun. I am really passionate about trying to connect the L and the G in our LGBTQ plus community. It's often hard for us girls. It might be the boobs, I don't know. But if we believe that we are one strong community, then we must support all the letters of our LGBT and Q+. We opened the show with a nod to Mary Tyler Moore, and that girl's Marlo Thomas. This show is dedicated to a strong LGBTQ plus community. I just encourage you to be a little bit kinder, a little bit funnier, and embrace our tremendous diversity. It's what makes us so strong. Until next Monday, world, at 9 a.m. live or anytime on demand. I'm FayWhat, and I'm #ThatGirl. I wish you a week full of sunshine and rainbows. Stay gay.
Rainbows, gay boys, #ThatGirl. Sunbeams, drag queens, L-word. Is that girl, the girl of all our dreams? She's everything that every girl should be. Aqua, South Beach, #ThatGirl. Pride-filled, tea-dance, Wilton. Is that girl, Latina, but she's you.
So, did you enjoy the show? I know you did. So make sure to click subscribe so you won't miss any of the events, news, or interviews right here on the FayWhat show. Ring the bell at the bottom of the screen, right there, so you'll be alerted every time we're live. You can also click on the Happening Out Television Network logo so you can see all of the shows on the most diverse LGBTQ plus media network. Find out just what we're doing to bring the L and the G together right here on the FayWhat show. Get the week started with me.